Hello everyone.
Hello.
So I was in primary school. I was about 6 or 7 years old, and I was in school and I was learning, and it was just a normal day. It was summer. I remember it being lovely and sunny outside. You can feel the sun beaming in. Although it was so lovely outside, I felt really ill. I felt really strange on the inside, like a fuzzy feeling in my tummy. I remember feeling shaky. I remember I would look up at the teacher and my vision would be slightly blurry. And I was really shy. I was really timid. And I remember putting my hand up and saying, "Miss, I really don't feel very well." And I remember her saying, "Okay, go down to the medical room." So I was walking down to the medical room, and again getting that shaky feeling. I remember looking at the displays as I walked down the corridor of what the children had done, and I knocked on the door, and the old lady in the medical room opened the door. No one liked that old lady, and she said, "Hello, what do you want?" So I said, I really don't feel very well, I feel really shaky." And she sat me down and she took my temperature and she said, "You're fine, don't worry, you'll be fine, just go back to class." And I went back to class. Again in class, I was feeling shaky. I had a feeling in my stomach. My vision was blurry, and she said to me again, I put my hand up and I said to the teacher, "I need to go to the medical room, I really don't feel good." So she sent me back. But this time I went. I was very scared because I knew I'd already been. I'm going to see that same old lady again. And this time when I went in there, she looked at me and she said, "You'll be fine, just go back to class." So I went back to class for the second time. So when I went back to class, my teacher said, "Right, it's time for assembly now, children." So we all lined up, and I remember going to the end of the line because I remember I didn't feel well, I didn't want anyone to see me, and we all walked into assembly. When we walked into assembly, we all sat down, and I remember my knees were touching whoever I was sat next to, my friends. And I remember shaking. I remember my knees shaking on their knees, and I got a very funny butterfly feeling in my stomach, and I could see my head teacher just walking on into the middle of the stage, getting ready to start the assembly. And I just remember looking at him, and it just blurred out, it just went black. So in secondary school, I was very sporty. I came out from my shell a little bit more, although I was still very timid, very shy. And it was sports day. Oh no, we were having PE session. And I remember we were all sat on the grass. It was a lovely summer day again, very lovely day. And my PE teacher said, "Right, so we're going to have a race now." And he started calling out names of girls. So he got to the last girl's name that he was going to call out. And I remember he said my name. I remember a warm feeling from my feet come up and hit my head, and I got the shakes again. I remember everyone was looking at me, all eyes on Tia, and I remember just feeling, oh my gosh, he's just called my name, I've got to go up and race. So I remember being the type of person to always try my best anyway. So I went up and I started at the start line, so I got my pose ready to go, and I remember looking to my side and I can see all my friends. And then to my left was the fastest girl in my year. And I remember thinking, this is going to be so embarrassing if I lose. It's going to be so embarrassing if I come last. What am I going to do? Just try your best. Just try not to think about it. Just do your best. And we all got ready at the start line. And my teacher said, "Ready, set, go." And we all took off. We were all at the same sort of pace. And I can just slowly start to see my friends drop behind. To a point where it's just me and the fastest girl in the year left. Me and her running to that end finish line. So in secondary school, I was again a bit more confident, but still very shy. Still got those feelings of worry, doubt in myself, and we had to do a presentation. So I remember being stood at the front of the class, ready to do my presentation. Again, I got the shakes, I got the feelings, and it was just very, very, very awkward and embarrassing for me to have everyone watch me shaking like a leaf at the front my presentation behind me ready to start. And I remember my friends looking at me and they were saying, come on, you can do it. They were egging me on, ready to start my presentation. So, Barracudas. So, as you probably all know, Barracudas is a holiday club that is run to give children something to do over the school holidays. So, how many of you are parents?
Yeah.
Yeah. How many of you work?
Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. So, a lot of children that come to the camp is there because their parents work during the holidays. Some children go there because their parents might just want them to try something fun. The majority do come because the parents aren't there. So obviously for children, if we're looking from a child point of view, having to go somewhere and not spend time with their parents sometimes isn't always the nicest thing. So it's very important that we include a very fun, active, experience for children to get an experience of, and also get them interactive and doing stuff at the same time, get them to experience that. It's very important as staff to be able to implement policies and procedures, have control of children in terms of direct them to the activities, make sure they're comfortable whilst they're on camp, and make sure their well-being, or all-round well-being, is looked after. How can you apply for Barracudas? So you can apply by going online. There's an application form you can fill in, and that will just get sent to us, and we will then reply to you in terms of the outcome. If you want to also take part in training, there's various different training courses you can take part in, which we do have online, and we also can give you more information about that if you want to come and talk to us at the end. So I'm stood at the front of the class, ready to give my presentation. Again, very shaky, very nervous. And I remember seeing my friend right at the back going, come on, you can do it. And I did it. I went through the presentation. Although my voice was trembling, my hands were shaking, my knees were wobbling, I got through it and I'd done it. And at the end, I got a standing ovation and everyone was just like, well done, very supportive and very encouraging. As a staff member, it's quite important to remember that children may not want to take part in activities. They might be very nervous, but it's always good to encourage them and give them that level of support. So I'm running this race, I'm near the finish line, got the fastest girl next to me, and we're head to head. And I can see the finish line is just there. I can hear the crowd going, come on, you can do it. All wearing a song, and I can just about see some girls behind me, but it's just in my head, just me and this girl, and I slowly see her overtake me, and she's through the finish line, and I come slowly after. And I never thought in my head, oh my gosh, I've lost. In fact, I felt a sense of achievement that I'd done it, and that I came second to the fastest girl in the class. Not to mention that I could have easily backed out and said, I really don't feel comfortable doing this, had I have just given in to the way I was feeling at the time. Again, which is very important to encourage children. Although they'll be feeling a certain way, it's very important to encourage them to take part and give them the fun and encouragement that they need to have fun on camp. I'm sat in assembly, and my vision's blurred out, I'm feeling awful, and the next thing I know is I'm sick. I no longer can feel the knees wobbling against my knees. All the children that were around me had moved away, and there's a space around me where it's just me and my sick on the floor. And I remember seeing the teacher rush over and grab my hand and walk me out, and she took me back to the medical room. And as I was walking down to the medical room, again I was shaking, more so not out of feeling ill, but more so I've just been sick and everyone's just seen me. And I got to the medical room, and the look on the old lady's face when she looked at me was so a look of content, like she thought, oh my gosh, I've sent this girl away twice and I didn't listen to her. And she said, we'll get you home now. And I remember my mum coming to collect me. It's very important to listen to children. It's very important to encourage them, even if they don't want to talk. Listen to what they have to say. It could be a safeguarding issue. It could be they're scared to take part in an activity. It could be that they just want to talk to you how their week's gone. But it's important to listen to them and encourage them, have a relationship with them. And if you are interested, or if you feel that you have the skills, or if you feel you can develop your skills in doing that, then Barracudas will definitely give you that opportunity.